Happy Halloween, all. In this edition of My Media Helpers Entertainment Online, we'll take a peek at some free and scary films that are streaming through a frightening bandwidth near you. Each day this week, I will jump on a different streaming service to give you 5 of my best picks as to what picks to check out this 2021 Halloween season. There are so many movies on these streaming services, it's hard to determine what's worth watching. I want to recommend some of my personal favorites. The films I present to you aren't necessarily award-winning films by any stretch of the imagination. These are solid films, and they're certainly worth a watch during the witching season. This time out, we're going to check the vastness of Vudu for 5 special Halloween movies I recommend. Vudu has over 1,600 horror movies listed, so there is no end to the supply of something to watch. What is worth watching is the question. I have to admit here, it was very difficult, but here's at least 4 that I highly recommend. Terrifier. So in doing my homework for this series of Halloween videos, Terrifier kept coming up. I never heard of the damn thing, so I sat down and watched it, and this is one fucked up movie. It's a really good movie, it's just fucked up. Terrifier is a 2016 American slasher film written, co-produced, and directed by Damien Leone. David Howard Thornton portrays the murderous Art the Clown who hunts 3 young women on Halloween. It marks the second feature film appearance of the Art the Clown character after Leone's 2013 anthology film All Hallows Eve. Check that one out. Which incorporated footage from previous short films that were also directed by Leone and featured the character. Terrifier premiered at the Telluride Horror Show Film Festival in October of 2016 before being picked up by Dread Central Presents and Epic Pictures for a limited theatrical release in March of 2018. A sequel, Terrifier 2, is set to be released in early of 2022. Not one for the kids or faint at heart, as they say. There goes they saying things again. The movie does a great job of curbing expectations. They take your standard slasher film tropes and bend them just enough so you don't know what's coming next. I'm not sure what the replay value would be on it, but I am certainly happy I had 0 expectations and no idea what this movie was about beyond other online critics praising it. It was a good movie. I don't think I'd sit down and watch it again. But if you like your horror and your gore intense, then happy Halloween, because this is your film. 31, speaking of fucked up movies. I like Rob Zombie. I love his music. His movies are unique and weird. The Halloween remakes he did are not great, but the rest of his stuff is out there if you're into that sort of thing, and I certainly am. 31 is a 2016 American horror film written, directed, and produced by Rob Zombie, and starring an ensemble cast featuring Sherry Moon Zombie, Jeff Daniel Phillips, Lawrence Hilton Jacobs, Meg Foster, Richard Brake, Jane Carr, Judy Geeson, E.G. Daly, and Malcolm McDowell. A period piece set in 1976, the film is about 5 carnies who are kidnapped by a gang of clowns called the Heads. The carnies are forced to play a survival game called 31, where they are chased by clowns through a maze of rooms over 12 hours, and the penalty for capture being torture and murder, while bets are placed on their progress. This film was crowdfunded online twice at fanback.com. At a test screening, Zombie compared 31 to his 2005 film, The Devil's Rejects. Never saw that one. I did enjoy this movie. It was pretty fucked up, just like Terrifier. If you've seen Zombie's other films, minus the 2 Halloween ones he did, you kind of know what to expect. I actually think this one is one of his better films. It's competent. It knows what it is, as it pulls no punches, to use a tired metaphor. Not for the squeamish, just like Terrifier, but certainly great for the Halloween season. Maggie, will slow it down a little bit here. Maggie is a very slow burn, and Arnold Schwarzenegger is actually acting. Schwarzenegger's never been an actor with range, but it shows he put a lot of effort into this film. I think it's his best performance I've ever seen, which I guess is a half-ass compliment. We all love Arnold, but an actor, he isn't an action star, most definitely. I think I'm getting a little off subject here. This isn't your typical Schwarzenegger film. It's very slow and it builds. That doesn't mean it's bad. I'm recommending it. Just don't go in thinking you're going to get Schwarzenegger shooting zombies. That's not what this is about. In the present-day Midwestern United States, society struggles to function in the aftermath of a zombie pandemic barely under control. Maggie Vogel calls her father from a broken city under curfew. Her voicemail urges that he does not seek her and that she loves him. Her arm was bitten, knowing she has only weeks before the necrombolus virus, I can't really pronounce that, turns her cannibalistic. She left home to protect her family. Maggie's father, Wade, has searched for 2 weeks, despite her warning. Finding her in a hospital for the infected, he brings Maggie home to care for her until she must eventually be quarantined. During their return, a zombie attacks Wade at an abandoned gasoline station, and Schwarzenegger breaks its neck. Maggie is a 2015 American post-apocalyptic horror drama film directed by Henry Hobson. It is his directorial debut, written by John Scott, and starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Abigail Breslin, and Jolie Richardson. Maggie is a dramatic departure for Schwarzenegger, who is better known for his action film roles. The film was originally set to have its world premiere at the 2014 Toronto International Film Festival, but Lionsgate bought the American distribution rights and pulled the film out of the festival's roster. It instead premiered at the 2015 Tribeca Film Festival on April 23rd of 2015 as part of their lineup, followed by a limited theatrical release and simultaneous VOD release on May 8th of 2015. If you're looking for something different in your Halloween viewing this year, Maggie is it. It's basically a father losing his daughter. This could be an allegory to cancer or any real-life disease. In this case, it's turning into a zombie. It's a heartfelt movie. Heartfelt movie for Halloween anyways, so check it out. Hostile. This one I just kind of picked out of the blue from Vudu. Hostile is a French end-of-time horror film by Matthew Turi from 2017. The film celebrated its German premiere at the Fantasy Film Fest White Nights in late January of 2018 and was released on April 27th of 2018 by Splendid Films on DVD, Blu-ray, and as a stream release. Hostile is set in a post-apocalyptic world in which the Earth has been hit by a devastating epidemic and few people have survived this devastating apocalypse. The young protagonist, Juliette, is one of them. Every day she struggles for bare survival in search of food and shelter. In addition, scary, threatening creatures appear at night from which she has to protect herself. After a car accident in the desert in which Juliette broke her leg, she has to fight against hunger, thirst, pain, and another horror of the night for one night. Juliette, the lone survivor of an apocalyptic era, fights to survive against hunger, thirst, a broken leg, and strange, disturbing creatures that only come out at nighttime. And like I said, I kind of pulled this out of the blue from Vudu. This was one of those I pulled out that was very good, and I'd highly recommend it. And the next bunch that I pulled out, unfortunately, didn't meet up to those type of expectations. But definitely check out Hostile, and we'll dip into what else I found. This is where it gets tough. Like I indicated, Vudu has over 1,600 horror titles on their platform, and some of them may even be good beyond the ones I spotlighted. Sure as shit, I couldn't find them. I spent a good week after work trying to find a fifth film I could put in this review, and in good conscience couldn't recommend another from a handful I watched. And I will start with Estranged, as it wasn't too bad. I don't recommend it either. It was tolerable. January is forced to return home after 6 years of traveling abroad. A near-fatal accident has left her temporarily wheelchair-bound and depleted of her long-term memory. Desperate to discover why she left all those years ago, she sets out to find the truth. She soon discovers the family is not as loving as they seem to be. Was there a dark reason why she left them in the first place? Halloween Jack. I watched about 15 minutes of this. The costume alone was enough not to take this seriously. It looked like someone's grandmother sewed a costume for her grandson for Halloween. It was about as scary as cotton candy on a rainbow. And the script and performances were god-awful to what I'd seen. The synopsis: the sleepy seaside town of England is about to learn the true meaning of vengeance. As the residents gear up for the annual Halloween celebration, little do they know that their seemingly perfect town masks a guilty secret. Now, on the day when the veil between the living and the dead is at its thinnest, a mysterious apparition begins stalking the land and dishing out brutal retribution to the vigilante group. So begins the legend of Halloween Jack, which again looks like a child in a Halloween costume. The midnight meat train I turned off after a bunch of minutes. The only thing that was fascinating with this is to see what Brooke Shields looked like with all of that plastic surgery. The synopsis is struggling photographer Leon Kaufman's obsessive pursuit of dark subject matter leads him into the path of a serial killer, Mahogany, the subway murderer who stalks late-night commuters, ultimately butchering them in the most gruesome ways imaginable. It just didn't hold my attention enough to give a shit. Uncle Peckerhead. Fucking Uncle Peckerhead. And I'm not joking, this is a real movie. And I just did a search for it, and I noticed it's no longer free on Vudu. So I certainly wouldn't pay for this piece of shit. The synopsis: when a punk band scores their first tour, life on the road proves tough when they are joined by a man-eating demon as a roadie. For the life of me, I have no idea who would rent this piece of shit, and to make matters worse, I watched the whole fucking thing. And the sacrifices I make for my channel, I thought it would be silly fun. It was just one big disaster. I don't know. Like a train wreck, I suppose. I watched the whole thing. I tried, gals and guys. I really tried really hard. And Vudu was always the place to go for free movies when it first popped up. And now there's so many streaming services out there with free films now, which is awesome. So there's a lot of choices, but Vudu didn't serve up the way I thought they would. But I gave you 4 suggestions anyways, and some movies maybe to stay away from. But I thank you as always, gals and guys. Please, you're gonna like, please. Subscribe, please. Share, please. And hit that belly thing so you can get updates. And I appreciate you as always. And happy Halloween. And every Sunday, or I'm going to try every Sunday to put up a video of what I think about some films. It's probably going to mostly be positive films that I think you should watch. Sometimes negative. I'm not really sure. We'll see what comes down the pike. But have a good day. I got a couple more to do, and I will catch you later. Bye-bye.